excuse me, I'm a little under the weather just like you. I'm an atheist, and I feel as if the Republican Party lately is hell-bent on tearing down separation of church and state. I want to know your thoughts on that. I also want to know, why should I vote for you? Why should millions of atheists around the country support a candidate that has made comments like you've made about us?
Well, what have I made about you?
They haven't been pretty. They haven't been pretty
Well,
comments.
I don't know what they are that would be unkind, because what I've said is I would fight for your right to be an atheist.
Okay.
I said I would believe that the First Amendment guarantees you the right to be an atheist as much as it guarantees me the right to be a Christian, or somebody else the right to be a Jew or a Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist. When you brought up separation of church and state, where do you come from on that particular point?
I am all for people having their religious belief, practicing. I grew up Lutheran. I totally understand it, but I want to make sure that in public schools, they don't turn into private schools, and public schools that remain public schools shouldn't be pushed into being a private school.
Should our schools be religiously secular? Should they be anti-religious?
Not anti-religious. I believe there's value in teaching religion in terms of history, in terms of literature, but not in terms of this is truth and this is where we should base our science and our history and et cetera on.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen is a pendulum swing that to me is absurd. Frisco, Texas, for example, in the suburban areas of Dallas, 2 years ago, forbid children at an elementary school to wear the colors red and green together during the month of December, because they said somebody might think it was Christmas and that might make them think about Christ. And that would be dangerous. And I thought that's silly. Would you agree that that's silly?
Well, I agree. Any color,
Yeah, I mean,
implying that colors mean
And the
Christianity.
reason I asked about the separation of church and state is because that's not in the Constitution. Those words don't exist there. The First Amendment simply says that government should neither prefer nor prohibit religion. That's it. Government should be neutral. Neutral means we can be whatever we want to be, and the people who serve in government can be whatever they want. They cannot pass a law that would impose a religious test or impose a religious belief or doctrine on anybody. And I would absolutely defend that a person who is an atheist, whether it's you or anybody else, would absolutely have the right to be an atheist and be protected in that. I just want to make sure that people who are Christian are not criminalized for their Christian beliefs. I would never want to see it happen like what happened in Kentucky, where a county clerk who believed the exact same thing about marriage that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden did just 3 years before, were put in jail and criminalized because she had convictions and followed the only law that was in front of her in Kentucky. But that's a matter not of just protecting her. If someone were an atheist and said, I don't want to do any marriage license because I don't believe marriage is at all, then you should be accommodated. Why wouldn't you be? So when you said things I've said about you, I don't know what I've said.
Well, not about me personally,
Well, I know
but
about
atheists as a
atheists.
whole.
I honestly don't recall ever having said something that would be construed as hateful toward
No,
atheists.
not hateful.
Oh, okay.
Very critical. And see, that's the other thing. I want to make sure that when we bring this up, that it doesn't turn into that I've been attacking
No, you've
or
not
any of
attacked.
that.
You've asked
Let me
a
ask
very
you a different
respectful
question. If you had
Okay.
a candidate that was an atheist, agreed with you on foreign policy, agreed with you on a bunch of different issues, could you ever vote for an atheist?
Yeah, in fact, I'll tell you what, if you'll Google it, I think you'll find that I once said, I'm trying to think, who was the congressman in San Francisco, an avowed atheist? Let me think of his name. It's been a while since he's been in Congress, but I made the comment publicly, and I think it's probably surprised people. I said, I would rather vote for a person who is honest about his atheism than I had a person who pretends to be a Christian, but deep down only uses it for election purposes and is not an authentic person at all in his practice of
Trump.
no, not particularly. Look, I'm not going there because I'm talking about the guy in San Francisco, and I wish I could remember his name.
Ron Dellums?
No, it was Tom something. It was San Francisco. Golly, who was it? Anyway, I mean, I said that publicly. In fact, I said it on television, as I recall, on my own show. And that's really how I feel. So the answer to your question, I'm less worried about voting for an atheist who's honest about his faith or lack thereof than I would be about electing somebody who tells me he loves God and he's such a Christian, but he doesn't tithe and he doesn't go to church and his life does not really resemble that of a Christian. That's what offends me.
Sure.
So you got no problem with that.
Well, thank you for taking the question head
So
on.
now I need your votes.
I appreciate it. Believe me, there are a lot of conservative atheists that you should tailor a message
Oh, well,
towards.
I don't think, there's, one of the things that's so frustrating in our culture today, sometimes people think that they can judge immediately. For example, I get judged because I am a Christian. People assume they know everything that I believe, and they don't. I think I just surprised you. I probably surprised you on a lot of things. And I think that's what's frustrating to me about a lot of American cultural clashes today. We tend to assume we know what a person is all about without really knowing. But I appreciate your coming, and I genuinely do. And I'm happy that you engaged me on the conversation, and I hope it was
Well, I appreciate it.
helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Somebody else, yes.